I take Elderwerks everywhere I go with me. I don't think they brag nearly enough about themselves and the amazing things they do in the community. And I just want everybody to remember they are a not-for-profit organization and work really hard. Their team of senior living advisors are just work tirelessly in helping people. And this is people of all income levels, of all ages. So they're not just helping seniors, but they're helping the children of seniors who are helping the seniors. And I have their, you can see this, I have their amazing directory with me, and at every meeting, every client gets one, and they just do an amazing job. And just kind of think of it, when you go bump, somebody goes bump in the night, there's somebody's had a stroke, an accident, something happens, and you need a resource, you need a caregiver. They've vetted scores of home care agencies, nursing homes, and all types of places in between. So instead of opening up the yellow pages or just getting one referral from a neighbor, make Elderworks that first call, and they're just very responsive, and we just find them a very valuable resource. So the second thing I wanted to mention is, yes, I'm going to be that fun speaker, but I also have a little bit of a challenge right now. I had an eye procedure on Thursday, and my left eye is like totally blurry still, and we're working on it. And so you might see me winking at you because I'm reading out of my right eye, which is now being compromised, trying to see for the left. So my print, I think, is big enough. I think I'm going to be fine, but I might need my associate here, Katya, to read something small for me. So don't laugh too hard and bear with me. And I didn't want to cancel because I think we can do this. So we're still going to have a good time. And I'm just a little bit challenged tonight, but hopefully you won't notice it. You will hear this once in a while. When we get a question in there, Katya is going to alert me with the bell that there is a question pending, and I'm going to finish my thought or finish the slide so that I'm not stopping in the middle and losing context and educational information that I'm delivering. And then we'll take those questions as we go. I'd like this to be interactive. I'm going to go kind of fast on the front end because I have a lot of material. We just have an hour and then Q&A afterwards. So I'm going to get right to it. On the front here, you see our historic office building in downtown Palatine. We bought it in 1985, gutted it, and gave it another 100 years of life. And it sounds like we have a question already. So we're not just going to talk about long-term care, but we're going to talk about these medical breakthroughs a little bit, how to age well, what exactly is long-term care and who pays for it. And we're going to see some plan types and costs and funding examples. I will pause for a question here.
It was actually to let you know if any questions come up that are a little more personal, or if you prefer to ask afterward, I'm going to be putting a link in the chat that you can fill out and Carol can reach out to you directly.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for that. Okay. Katya, help me out. Moving on. Okay. Required disclosure here. We're not talking about securities, and this is mostly for that, required by my broker dealer. And then Katya, getting a little stall here when I'm clicking. Okay, first thing is, who's this? Well, I'd like you to meet Sophie. I had been saying this for the longest time about the topic of long-term care, that like it's the elephant in the room. So the elephant in the room is the topic of long-term care that sometimes people hesitate to talk about. In some families, it's just too painful or challenging, or maybe we've put off talking about it because we've been paying mortgages and college tuition and other things. But, whether it's denial, fear, embarrassment, awkwardness, confusion, or whatever, long-term care plans can be talked about. We can address the elephant in the room. And as a matter of fact, I'd like you to formally meet Sophie here. I take her with me now many places I go. Here she is with me in downtown Galena. And her name is Greek, and it means strength and wisdom. And we just have fun with it. And so Sophie helps me talk to people about long-term care and make people comfortable. We actually have, that is a full-size elephant cutout that is in my conference room. So when people come in, it's kind of interesting to see reactions. Sometimes they say, yeah, I saw it, but I didn't want to say anything. And other times they say, oh yeah, I saw it. So meet Sophie. So talking about longevity and financial preparedness here, this is not just futurists, but this is scientists from the MIT Age Lab, where I contribute and collaborate on with a network there. They're talking about lifespans getting longer and longer year after year. And Gary Brecka there says that we are alive 5 years from today, we could actually be looking at 120 to 140 years of age. And basically, our entire system is about to be circumvented in a really a most positive way between AI and modern technologies over the last 5 years, over the next 5 years, rather, perhaps sooner. Scientists are saying that we could see 3 centuries of medical progress in predicting and preventing illness. And that's a huge impact on longevity, right? And so questions come up to me, to my mind, first of all, is how are we going to access and pay for these technologies? How are we going to be able to use these technologies? And how would we financially survive if we're living to 120, 130, 140? So that's where our financial planning work that we do comes into play. And there are some, it does create challenges and some strategies out there. So we'll need to plan for, we help people plan for lifetime income, something that we focus on, but also to have that long-term longevity plan there, because we want to have it in place before the crisis, to help us as our bodies are aging. And I think it's going to take a while before our bodies, what would you say, morph into ones that where our bones last that long. So when turning 65, though, there is good news. We'll talk about that a little bit, and we'll also be talking about it at another talk in September, is that there is finally a Medicare supplement that covers preventive screenings and wellness programs that are not covered by Medicare. So talk a little bit about that. So medical breakthroughs. What are these medical breakthroughs? I wanted to touch on the ones that are actually there, not so much futuristic, but in early detection, many of you maybe have heard of Lifeline screenings. You see them, they're mobile Lifeline screening trucks set up at park districts and community centers. Maybe you receive things in the mail to schedule and make an appointment, but they're community-based, and they look at vascular and stroke risk areas. And Lifeline screening saved the life of my tenant upstairs. Detected a blockage. He was on his way to Ecuador for a trip to either visit his son or go with his son, and and he was 99% blocked. So he had the Lifeline screening. They detected the peripheral artery disease, checked further, found a blockage, and he had surgery and corrected it. But they told him, had he gone to Ecuador to that elevation, they would have brought him back in a body bag. So Lifeline screenings truly saved this individual. Thermography is a radiation-free imaging inflammation marker. It shows blood flow and it shows inflammation. So it shows up in different colors. And when you see something red, if you see some red in the elbow or your knee, it's not going to kill you. But if you see some inflammation in some other part of the body, you can check further. They say that thermography is able to detect breast cancers. It can show inflammation 8 years before it would ever show up on a mammogram. So that's pretty amazing. Pernuvo is something new. I just checked on this from my sister, who's enrolled in that Medicare supplement plan with the preventive screening. It's a whole body radiation-free MRI that could detect the tiniest little aneurysm in the back of your head before it would even give you a headache, and so much more. Lifeline screenings, by the way, $150 to $200. Thermography, about $1,000. $500 for torso on up. Pernuvo, whole body scan, about $2,500. Low dose lung CT, on a preventive basis, unless you've got a history of cancer or smoked. These things are just not paid for by Medicare and supplements, and most often not under age 65 insurance as well. But there's early detection for cancer there, and people that just want to check that. Cancer and organ screening. There's 3D mammography. Perhaps women, you've heard of it, called ABIS. It's great for dense breasts or if you have implants. This is maybe about $250. Medicare's not paying for it, but this rider on this supplement that we're talking about that we have a contract with will. There's multi-cancer blood tests. One blood draw can see many things. virtual colonoscopy now for people that don't want to have an invasive screening. It's not necessarily to take the place of it, but it can be done. And then with this cardiac calcium scoring that measures the plaque, not just cholesterol, but measures the plaque, that you can pick up for maybe $80 to $100. And then all kinds of advanced blood markers are out there that can detect inflammation and cardiac risks. So these can be expensive, but they are emerging and they're great things for early detection. So people are living longer, and we're having we've got ways when we can stay well there. I hear a ding here for a question.
Teresa actually shared that the mammogram technology discovered a stage 1 breast cancer. So she never felt the lump. It was the scan that helped.
Yeah, that's so important. So important. We shouldn't miss these things. This comes up later a little bit too about staying well. It's not just about getting prepared, but it's about staying well. So lifespan versus health span. Now this whole longevity thing brings about concerns or thoughts that lifespan is great, but what about our health span? And that's the period of time that we're spent in good health and we're free of chronic illness. So we want to work on health span and have that be good, because our health span could end up 100 years or more, but if 50 of it is spent being affected by chronic illness, that doesn't sound like a fun thing to do. So planning before, not after a crisis, for our health span as well as our lifespan. So I say health span is more important than lifespan, and I'm pretty passionate about this, and I want to do something about it. And that's why I spend so much time talking about wellness and prevention with my clients. So what are the odds anyway? Home care industry notes that most home care clients are the average age of just 69 years. That was kind of stunning. This is all research. This is not Carol's data. This is research data. 24/7 care in a nursing home. The leading long-term care association says the average age of people in a long-term care facility is about 85, and they require assistance generally from multiple chronic conditions. So let's not go there. Assisted living residents around 87. Many people delay transitioning to assisted living until they're well into their 80s, and then decide they need additional help. But all of this stuff is very expensive. Living alone, the latest US Census shows that 65 to 74, 27% of women and 21% of men live alone after age 75. This increases to 43% for women and 24% for men, because currently ladies are living longer. Future planning, in a 2024 survey, 50% of adults 50 plus reported taking steps to prepare to age in place. Long-term care insurance, caregiver and facility planning. This is something that you call Elderwerks for and make your plans ahead of time. Like, where would I go? What type of place would I want to be at? They've vetted these places for cuisine and atmosphere and decor, and so they know. And then home modifications, that's important too, to be able to stay home and have some things done at home, compared to 36% in 2018. So times are changing. So finally, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, we won't dwell on this because there's another talk about it, but there finally is a better Medicare supplement. There is one company in the United States, only one, that covers preventive screenings and wellness, not covered by Medicare and the supplement. So whatever, just keep this in mind, Medicare pays 80%, your supplement pays 20%, whatever Medicare pays or doesn't pay, the supplement pays or doesn't pay. So again, we could talk about this later, but it covers these early detection screenings from these emerging technologies. This particular one has an innovative Plan G with lower premiums that gives us some better value. And like an Advantage plan, it's not an Advantage plan, but like an Advantage plan, there's a free fitness club membership in there. And traditional Medicare supplements give us the choice of any doctor or hospital that accepts Medicare. There's no referrals needed. Go anywhere, travel anywhere, no network restrictions. So I'm not talking about an Advantage plan. I'm talking about traditional Medicare supplement. That is what I favor. So we're going to talk a little bit about aging well, living well, staying well. First thing on my list is sing, then stretch and strengthen. Sounds kind of silly, but it's not. Why sing? Well, when someone answers the phone or a quick hello, sometimes that's all it takes for others to snap judgment. As you know, I heard an older person on the phone, oh gee, you sound so young. Where do you want to be? Men's voices tend to go higher as they age, women's go lower. But singing is exercise for the voice. It impacts immunity and it's good for lungs and memory and mental health and coping with all kinds of things, including pain. So exercise for the voice. So encourage people to sing and socialize. You can't just do this alone, but sing in church, sing in the shower, sing to the radio in the car. You're gonna get lots of exercise, just like you can do facial exercises and all kinds of things when you're shopping and watching TV. But it's good for your mental health and it's great as we age. Stretching. Oh gosh, stretching has got to be one of the most important things so that we can maintain mobility and get up off of the floor. You don't want to be that I've fallen and I can't get up person there. You need to be able to get off of the floor if we're down there and we're alone. So it's good for circulation, longevity, reducing pain, arthritis. Me personally, I've done this for, I said 7 years last time. It must be about 10 years. But I stretch from my bed first thing in the morning. There's all kinds of things you can do before you get out of bed, leave the master bedroom, including have a little basket of 8-ounce bottles of water there, which I down one of those. So by the time I get downstairs, I've already had my good stretch and I've already had 8 ounces of water. So just something to inspire you to start your day like that if you haven't been. Habits become easier to do, or things become a habit after you do them for a couple of weeks. So you might give that a try. And then strengthen. Strengthen has got to do with the stretching, getting up off of the floor, being able to rise, being able to get out of trouble if you've fallen and you're alone. So I promise you, it will enhance your quality of life. It protects your joints. It strengthens your bones and gives you a better chance of being unbalanced if you do slip and fall on something. I mean, while brushing your teeth, well, you can be standing behind a shopping cart, waiting in line at the grocery store, chatting on the phone, watching TV. I read something yesterday on Instagram. It said stand every hour and stand on one leg for a couple minutes. That they do that. I think it's in Japan, and it helps with your bone strength and also helps with balance. So just do it. I'm giving you little things here to start, develop some good habits, and maybe not need long-term care. So because I'm drinking water tonight, but if we don't make time for exercise now, we'll have no choice but to take time for illness later. The only pain I want in my life is my drink of choice is champagne. So how about you? So living well. Before we get into needing long-term care, and I like to help people plan on staying at home, but being that we can't predict emergencies, there are a few simple things that we can do. We can keep the bad guys out with a home security system. When we had our first one installed, I think it was in the 90s. My husband was doing some traveling at the time for another company that we had, an additional company that we had. And one day I said, you know what? You're not leaving again until we have a security system. My father-in-law said this. He's like, my mother-in-law had passed, and he says, I can't tell you how comforting it is to know that there's no one in my house when I come home. He was a big guy, 6'4", big guy. But still, he said that was it for me. The security system was installed in the next month. And I think you don't pay for the equipment, you just pay the monthly fee. And then if you move, that whatever level of equipment you had installed gets put into the other house, into the next house without any cost. And you just pay a monthly fee for it. And there's all kinds of things in between, ring cameras and all kinds of other safety features. But having a security system where you know that somebody's not in your house and that you can put it on turn the motion off while you're inside so that you're protected and someone still can't get at you. I think that's so important, and it's not that expensive. Adding simple improvements such as grab bars in the shower, so important, so important. If you're alone and you fall in the tub or shower, that's pretty serious business. We all have heard of stories where that's happened to people. And then to be able to connect with someone through some sort of life alert system or a smartwatch. I swear, if I lived alone and I was 30 years old, I would have some sort of system of communication that if I fell or had stroke as a 30-year-old or something happened, I would want to have something close by that lets me communicate with people. So I'm a big fan of that. Staying well, how do we do that? So many ways. all those preventive screenings we talked about, but don't skip your annual medical and dental checkups. I have somebody come in here this week. They didn't see a doctor for 10 years. They won't go for their mammogram, pap test, and just, I don't like doctors. You can't be that way. You've got to be a smart consumer. You've got to take advantage of the things that we can do to check for illness and these preventive things. So I always talk about this. Beware of contraindications and side effects from the meds you take. I have people coming in to enroll in Medicare and they're 64 years old and they're 10, 11 medications I'm checking out. My goodness. I don't know how people are on their feet and their heads aren't spinning. And many of them are dizzy and they have brain fog and nauseous. And you need to tell your doctors about that. Don't just endure symptoms of your medications that you're taking. Speak up and maybe second opinion. So get those age appropriate screenings that we talked about. And if you're approaching 65 or you are 65, consider a Medicare supplement that covers these preventive screenings, because it can be thousands of dollars that they're willing to cover. And they've been doing this for a decade with this little rider. It costs less than $9, and it's $9.53 a month to add that rider onto the plan. That includes the full health club membership and all this preventive stuff. So there's no reason not to have this anymore. It's amazing. So we're going to take a look at a quick video on understanding long-term care. I think this will give you a nice picture of life here. And I'm getting a signal.
I want to make sure that they're going to get sound.
Okay. Doing a sound check here. Bear with us a second, please. Okay. What? Here we go.
Understanding long-term care. You are about to learn the 3 most important things to understand about long-term care. First, what is long-term care? Second, where do you receive long-term care? Third, the hidden significance of long-term care on the people you love, the people you've invited into your life. What is long-term care? Long-term care is care that is needed over an extended period and comes in 3 types. One type of long-term care is personal care, sometimes called custodial care. It's when you may need help with various tasks we do each day, but take for granted when we were healthy, such as eating, getting dressed, or walking. The second type of long-term care is skilled care, for which you need a skilled specialist or nurse. The third type of long-term care is supervisory care, if you get Alzheimer's or other kinds of dementia. Where do you receive long-term care? Long-term care often evokes images of a nursing home, and while that is a subset of care, most people prefer to stay at home or receive care in an assisted living facility where they can be with other people. The hidden significance of long-term care on the people you love. It's of critical importance to understand what long-term care does not just to you, but to loved ones, both emotionally and financially. Long-term care causes you to be unable to fully care for yourself, and it impacts those you love by requiring their full attention. Will it be from your husband or wife? One of your adult daughters or sons? What impact will that have on them? You may say, I would never ask those I love to care for me. None of us want that. But if we fail to adequately plan, what choice are we leaving them? Of course, they will want to help as best as they can. Proper planning can help you afford and access the care you need, so that your family can stay focused on caring about you and not for you. That planning often includes the right insurance to directly help you and also help the people you've invited into your life. Now that you know the 3 most important things about long-term care, it's time to have an insurance specialist help you be better prepared for long-term care. Understand.
Oh, a second. There we go. So I hope you enjoyed that. Short and sweet. So long-term care is the care we might receive. Long-term care plan or long-term care insurance is how we pay for it. So when we have a plan in place, what do we got? Well, at home, many people prefer to remain at home as long as possible. So a long-term care plan or a policy. And we're really talking here about, think of what our goal here is. We want to have a pool of dollars that's set aside so that if and when we need care, we have a benefit pool or an income stream of tax-free money to pay for care. So that's what we're talking about now. So at home, a long-term care plan can provide a pool of dollars, some benefits, so that we can get the care and services we need in the comfort of our own home. There's all kinds of things in between, adult daycare, assisted living, and then care facility. So when more care is needed, then can be provided at home, more equipment, more personnel, things are challenging. Should that occur, a long-term care plan can cover the cost of care we'd received in assisted living, nursing home, and everything in between. So when we have a plan, how do we access it? How do we use the benefits? Well, on the left, becoming eligible for benefits, we're eligible to receive benefits from our policy when we're determined to be chronically ill by a medical professional, and we get a plan of care or a prescription that says we need these services. So the triggers, or what's required, is that it's determined that we need help in at least 2 of 6 activities of daily living, that they're called ADLs. And those activities are the transferring, toileting, continence, bathing, dressing, and eating. And if you look at that list there and think about just getting up in the morning, well, hopefully we can transfer from our bed to the floor. We can get to the restroom. Hopefully we've been continent for the night. Then we want to shower, dress, and then to the kitchen for prepare a meal and be able to eat. So if we need help in 2 of those, we're likely to need assistance in more than 2. So when we do, and that generally, this is general terms now, that we need that assistance for at least 90 days in a row, we're eligible to receive benefits, and we're certified to and we're certified for care. Also, if we need continual supervision due to cognitive impairment, it's possible that if we had dementia, Alzheimer's, severe cognitive impairment at any type, we might be able to do all those things. So we don't need to be dependent in the 2 of 6 in order to receive benefits if we needed supervision for the cognitive. So after the waiting period, after the 90 days, and there are some plans that pay after 0 days or 20 days, but in general, it's 90 days. So after that waiting period, we become eligible for benefits. The elimination period is once it's satisfied, which starts on the first day we're deemed chronically ill and we receive a covered service, then benefits are paid out. So once that's been satisfied, benefits for the covered services are paid either to us if we have a cash plan, or a reimbursement plan. We would need to use a licensed facility and licensed caregivers, and then get reimbursed. It is possible to assign benefits to where we don't actually have to cut the check and wait for the reimbursement. But 2 types of plans in general. One is cash, which is indemnity, and the other is reimbursement, which needs certified facilities to be used, certified caregivers. So we can't informally pay a friend or a spouse, but for the cash plans we can, and those are becoming more prevalent, and those are the ones I favor when at all possible. So as long as the last bullet point, as long as we remain eligible for benefits for covered services, they'll be paid until our pool of dollars or our maximum benefit is reached. So this is tiny print. I can't read it today, and I don't normally read it, but it's just a slide that talks about who pays for care. I'll be happy to share this with you, but it's just that this is a point where I need to talk about that it is a common misconception that Medicare or Medicaid covers all long-term care expenses. And I'd say about 50% of the people that come in to see me for their Medicare education and their supplement enrollment think that, oh, now that I'm on Medicare, long-term care will be covered. And the reason is, in that first column and that first box there, Medicare does cover the first 100 days of skilled care. So we must be hospitalized first generally, and then need the services of a skilled person. And so that's going to be somebody for wound care, pain management, maybe rehab following a knee or hip replacement, something like that. But otherwise, if you read down, I know it's there, so I can't read it all right now, but for assisted living, continuing care, adult day, you can just see not covered, not covered, not covered by Medicare. And then that next column is private Medicare supplement insurance. Again, from 0 to 100, there's some coverage from Medicare and the supplement, but only if we need skilled care. What if we come right out of the hospital and we just need companion care or standby care or custodial care? It's not covered. We don't need the skilled care of a skilled medical professional we're on our own. You can see under private insurance, does not pay, not covered, not covered. Under Medicaid, we're in a state where the spend down, you've got to, be broke down to $2,000 and then qualify for Medicaid. And then there's various rules there. And that far right is all, it's pretty much pay on your own. So that's why we're talking about this, to get prepared, say hi to Sophie, address the elephant in the room, talk about this topic, and get prepared before the crisis. So again, medical insurance and Medicare do not pay, and people are shocked, and there they are. Personal medical insurance, so this is even not just Medicare, but personal medical insurance, group coverage, Medicare and supplements never pay the cost of non-medical care. Medicare does pay for that short-term care up to 100 days, it's said on the prior page, but only if skilled care is needed, like rehab, pain management, wound care, and it's medically necessary. Medicare never covers the cost of non-medical long-term, or call it extended care. Not good, but that's the truth. So risk management and long-term care. I'd like to talk about this because we have taken proactive measures, protective measures for just about every other aspect of our life. We have medical insurance for sickness and health. We have auto insurance. We have life and disability insurance. We have homeowners insurance to protect our property and our home. But to protect our wealth and our retirement plan, long-term care plans have got put on the back burner. And it's really a function of, we've got mortgages and kids to put through college and other things. And it's always like, well, I'll get that later when I'm older. And sometimes, stuff happens to people in their 40s and 50s. It can happen, unexpected things can happen to people at any age. But should we not consider having some sort of plans so that we can remain independent and protect that lifestyle, protect that 401k that we've worked so hard to create? Yes, we should. So this is important now. Here, did you know Illinois? Now here's Illinois is doing something for us here. Since 2007, Illinois is a long-term care partnership state. What that means is they expanded the Medicaid program to allow for Illinois to be part of a partnership plan that if we have traditional long-term care insurance policy purchased after that date, that it will give us some Medicaid asset protection. And in a nutshell, that means if you buy a partnership qualifying long-term care plan, you're in Illinois and multiple other states as well, and we use up the benefits in our policy, and let's use a $250,000 example. You have $250,000 of benefits in your long-term care plan, and you have $250,000 in your IRA. Well, you're getting close to using up the $250,000 limit in your policy that you had, your long-term care policy. Generally, without a long-term care partnership qualified policy, your $250,000 IRA would be next to spend. But the state says, you know what? You saved the state $250,000 by having a plan. So we're going to discount that. We're going to ignore that. We're going to disregard that $250,000 IRA asset and let you keep that and qualify for long-term care, qualify for Medicaid, being able to keep that asset on your side of the board for your family. So that's a discussion one-on-one if you have further questions on that. But these partnership protected assets are also not subject to the Illinois Medicaid estate recovery program at death. So that's important for your heirs. So this is something between you, the consumer, Illinois Medicaid program, and a private insurance company that's authorized to sell partnership certified long-term care insurance. All policies do not qualify for this, but some do. And it's important to know that even if you have a small plan, it can grow with an inflation factor on it. And by the time you're in your 80s maybe and might need this, it can be a significant source of protecting assets to be disregarded if you need Medicare, Medicaid help. So the thought is funding a long-term care plan is not beyond the means of most people, but paying $50,000 to $100,000 a year after tax for long-term care expenses might be beyond the means of most people. So that's the concept of insurance, right? Paying a small premium so that if you have a catastrophe, a big pool of money, contributed to by many people pays. That's the same thing here. We're talking about the same thing. Cost of care survey, Genworth comes out with this every year. I'll let you read this on your own here. Home care 20 hours a week can be anywhere, 36,000 or so. And then we're showing some projections at 2034 and 2044. And right now, 24/7 home care can be $305,000. It's crazy. So there's adult day, assisted living community, and then nursing home, semi-private and private. Very expensive. So we have to plan. Otherwise, money's not going to fall from the sky, right? We have to plan. I'm going to take a peek at traditional long-term care first, and we're going to see some actual case studies and examples of people I've helped so that you can get an idea. I don't like it when people talk about products and never show somebody what it might cost and know you have to call me to get the cost. That's not so. We're going to give you some ideas here tonight. This is a summary of a traditional long-term care plan. Might look something like this. Larry, my client, age 65, he bought a plan with a 3% compound inflation rider and had an immediate benefit of $6,000 a month, tax-free. And this was a 5-year plan. Got a 5% discount for being with a partner. And down in the bottom left, you can see it is Illinois Partnership qualified. On the right, so it is in the turquoise teal banner. Long-term care policy gave him an initial, so pays a monthly premium. He starts out with an initial $360,000 pool of benefits, which gives him $6,000 a month day one. But we put an inflation rider on there of 3% compounded. So his policy, not necessarily his premium, but his policy is going to grow over time because we put a 3% inflation factor on there to puff it up as the years go by. So by 15 years, that 360,000 is puffed up to 560,000. This is guaranteed, by the way. This is not an investment. This is not hypothetical. This is not maybe. This is Larry, 65, bought this at 65, and this is what he gets. In 20 years, the policy has grown to, the benefits have grown to 650,000 for 10,800 per month. I'm really proud of myself that I can read. This is what I thought I was going to have a challenge with here. I'm doing okay. And by in 30 years, it's up to 874,000, 14,600 a month in benefit, and his premium just $318 a month. I don't think that's too bad. I think it's affordable for many people, and if you cut it in half, then the premium is cut in half. So if you're younger and female, it's going to be a different rate. But give you an idea on that. Here's one for Hank. Now he waited till he was 75 to buy a plan. So he bought one with the 3% compound inflation rider, but we had the inflation stop in 20 years. So that whatever the benefit is when he's 95, it would be that for the rest of his life. It helped with the premium a little bit. He got a $3,000 benefit, a 4-year plan, 5% discount for living with a partner, and he got 15% discount for being in good health. It's also partnership qualified. So to the teal banner there, the long-term care plan, his initial pool of money was $144,000. Why is it different? Because the other guy was 65 and his plan was bigger. So Hank, he's got a $3,000 a month plan. Will it solve the world's problems? Will it pay his whole bill? No, but it's a nice start. It's giving him something, and it's protecting assets. That inflation rider is increasing it to $193,000 or $4,000 a month by year 10, and $224,000 to $4,700 year 15, and $260,000, $5,400 a month in year 20. His premium $373 a month. So similar premium to the gentleman before, different benefit. And I see we have a pause for a question here.
I just came up with a question. Do I have to use the full $3,000 a month of my benefit?
That's a great question. No, if you only needed $1,500 for a month, your plan would last twice as long. Great question. So no, you're not forced to take the $3,000. Stretch it out. So here's a look at a couple, traditional long-term care for a married or an unmarried couple. Something like this. These are my clients, Philip and Jeremy, 52 and 56. for 256 and 276 per month. Each have a plan, and they're each going to start out with $360,000 pool of benefits each, paying $6,000 a month each. And there's a shared care rider on there, which means if Philip, for example, used up his benefit, he can tap the rest of Jeremy's. So that's nice. Inflation rider increases the pool of benefits, just like we saw in the other. I'm increasing it by 3% compound. So we're starting out with a $6,000 per month plan with a 5-year benefit, discount for having the partner, 15% for good health. So they're each, this is each now, this is not a joint plan. They're each starting out with 560,000, excuse me, not starting out, but by year 15, 560,000, 9,300 a month, 650,000 in year 20, and 30 years from now, 874,000, 14,600 tax-free benefits and partnership qualified in year 30. And they're just in their mid-80s there. So that's how it goes. This is traditional long-term care, partnership qualified. Now we're going to take a look at life insurance with living or accelerated benefit rider on a life insurance plan. That might look something like this. Michelle, age 50, wanted something for herself. She took a plan with a 0-day waiting period under certain circumstances. This is a life insurance policy with a death benefit for those left behind, but also a benefit that we can tap ourselves if we become chronically ill. And this happens with a life insurance policy that was $300,000 for Michelle. We put a 4% rider on there, so 300 times 4 is $12,000, as you see in that blue box to the left. So she starts out with a $12,000 monthly benefit. So what's the cool thing about these using a life insurance policy is that you have a larger starter benefit because it's a percentage of the death benefit. So Michelle didn't have any other life insurance, and this was something that she wanted to have. And so here she has her Swiss Army knife or cake and eat it too approach, that she's got the life insurance plan for her loved ones, but if she needs it, she can also tap it. But if she never taps it, it's in a $300,000 policy. And I can't get into securities now, but this happened to be a variable one that has investment opportunities within it, but yet with guarantees. And so by the time she's in her 80s, she's well over $1 million of death benefits, and her rider being 4% of that. $342 a month guaranteed for the rest of her life. This premium will never go up. Her death benefit will never decrease. And she has the opportunity to have kind of like a giant Roth effect of tax-free money growing for whether she lives, dies, or quits, or needs long-term care. Swiss Army knife, we call it. So an existing life insurance policy. So one of the biggest sources of funding these plans is existing life insurance, where you can repurpose an old policy that didn't have a long-term care rider for one that does. This is a case on a doctor client of mine. He had a $675,000 life insurance policy with a name brand company that did not have any living or long-term care benefits on it. It was issued when he was 30 years old. He's now 64. He's coming to me for Medicare and supplement education and says, hey, could you take a look at this? Can you do better? I'm like, oh, I always like to say, let me see if there's room for improvement. So, by the way, he had no living benefits and was paying $7,200 a year for this policy that he bought when he was 30. So that was a big premium when he was 30 years old. This is an old whole life policy with a famous company. His cash value had grown though, because he had it from age 30 to 64. It had $289,000 of cash value to it. So we repurposed it. We exchanged it tax-free over to a new plan for $675,000, like Michelle's plan, with living benefits, guaranteed to age 120. And guess what? Wiped out his $7,200 premium, even though he's 64 years old. He took the $7,200 and bought his wife a plan because she didn't have one. He has zero premium, paid it off, guaranteed for the rest of his life. His beneficiaries day one, if he died and did not need care, would receive the $675,000. He put a 2% rider on his plan, so 2% of 675. He starts out with a $12,300 per month long-term care tax-free cash benefit. By the way, this is cash. This is not one of the reimbursement receipts ones. This is cash So again, Swiss Army knife, live, die, quit, need care, not need care. And by the time he's in his 80s, we were looking at a $2 million, death benefit and tons of money there, 2% of that for long-term care. So who wouldn't do this? Who wouldn't do this that had an old life insurance policy that didn't have long-term care? It's worth a look. Worth a look. I have fun with these, as you can tell. Let's take a look at annuity funded long-term care plan. This is something that we're going to use an annuity because it is a vehicle that is allowed to use IRA funds, 401k money, 403b, 457 that municipal people have, or a personal or inherited IRA. And back to the other slide, why use life insurance? Because it's one of the vehicles that Uncle Sam says can be used to put a rider on for long-term care purposes. So it's just got many different uses. So here, talk about this annuity. So an annuity funded life plan with long-term care benefits. This was for a single female, Mary. She had a plan at work that she got through the workplace that gave her a $5,000 monthly benefit, and she wanted to supplement. She wanted another $3,000. So we go to the company in question here. We're not talking products, but just process here. We go to the company and say, how much does Mary need to put in a plan, reposition in a plan, in order to give her a $3,000 a month benefit for life? So she had money in a qualified plan in an IRA. So the computer says the calculation came out $88,241. She moves $88,000 out of her IRA on a tax-free basis that funds an annuity that is a qualified vehicle to then fund a life insurance plan that can have the long-term care rider. So the 88,000 gets parked. She wasn't using it. And she had sufficient income, so the 88,000 did not take food off of her table. She moves the 88,000. It funds an annuity, and the annuity then pays a 10-year premium for her out of that. But first, the insurance company bonused her 25%. It's just what they do. They added the $22,060, which is 25% of the 88,000, to help her pay the taxes. So that's kind of cool. So her total amount that went into the plan was 110,000, not 88. $22,060 of it funded by the insurance company. So that paid her $11,000 premium for 10 years. And all this is calculated behind the scenes. That bought her a life insurance plan with a $74,000 death benefit. So not a big benefit like we saw on the prior two illustrations, because this is an annuity. And this funded a lifetime benefit of $3,000 a month, which is exactly what she needed for the rest of her life. So, and all that was done, like multiply that out. If she needed care at what, 72, and then give her $36,000 for the rest of her life, and she lives to 100, how does that compare to the $88,000? That's the power of an insurance company. That's what insurance is about. Putting a small amount aside, along pooling with other people, so that when we have a disaster, we can count on it. So, an annuity funded plan for a married couple. This was two people that were able to they pulled $150,000 out of their 457 plan, put it in that same kind of an annuity like we saw in the prior example. They got a $30,000 bonus because that's 25% of 150,000. So their total contribution, or their total pool that went into the plan, is 180,000, and then 18,000 came out of that over a period of 10 years that funded the life insurance policy that gave them a $176,000 death benefit and a lifetime long-term care benefit for Rick and Teresa of $5,288 each for life. So try squeezing that out of $150,000 by yourself. You can't do this without products and the insurance industry. So again, this was money that they weren't using to live on. And this gave them, is $5,200 going to pay a total nursing home bill? No, but it's going to give them a nice tax-free benefit for home care and to supplement, but the rest would come from their savings, obviously, but it still was doing a whole lot with $150,000. Now we're going to take a look at life insurance with a long-term care rider, of asset-based hybrid type plans, because there's many different types. And I'm very thorough when I work on these. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that goes into preparing these and pre-screening people before this, we come to the table and take a look at things. But this is an asset-based plan. So here is a $151,000 CD that Wayne had, age 64, and it was coming due. And if we look at below the arrow, that current asset growing at 6%, for example, with no withdrawals. Today it's worth 151,000, and age 85 at 6%, just projecting it out, it would grow to $285,000. That growth is taxable, by the way, right? Because it's just a CD. But what if we repurposed it over to the right to a hybrid plan? We took that $151,000, moved it into this hybrid plan, and it gave him an immediate $853,664 pool of funds. Power of insurance. That spins off a monthly benefit of up to $8,000 a month. And if you use the full $8,000, it would last for 8 years. But at age 85, with the inflation factor I put on there, the inflation rider, as you see the turquoise rectangular thing box, it puffs up to $1.588067, $1.5 billion for a monthly benefit of over $14,000 for 8 years, all tax-free, all tax-free. So that was Wayne. So every birthday makes a difference, by the way. So if you're thinking of doing something, every birthday does bring about a premium change or cost change, which can be locked in before their birthday. Question?
I have a great question here. What happens after 80 without a plan or 401k?
After 80. We're going back to this slide here. So if we were talking about from this one, or
in general, if somebody is age 81.
Okay. If you think about the pool of benefits and how much you're taking out, the pool of benefits is going to last as long as the money lasts in the pot. So it doesn't matter what age you are. If you only started, maybe you only started using the benefit at age 80 or 81, it's going to last as long as these plans here I'm showing you. So it doesn't really matter what age you are when you tap the benefits. If I maybe not be answering the question, so please.
If somebody doesn't have a plan, though.
If someone doesn't have a plan,
yeah.
If someone doesn't have a plan, they're spending down their own assets, or they're using their own funds, or they're spending down, doing some Medicaid planning and spending down to $2,000 to hopefully qualify for Medicaid, but you're not getting the, your choice of facility or caregivers in that case. You're receiving Medicaid benefits, so it's not the best scenario. If you are already in a facility and you've had a $250,000, $300,000 plan, and the facility is aware of what's going on, and they see that you've come in as a cash paying customer on the front end, I'm told that they work with you then. You don't necessarily get sent to a Medicaid facility or lesser quality accommodations, that they work with you then. So having some plan in place gets you in a nice place, lets you have some choices on the front end. And then the facilities and places like Elderworks and elder law attorneys can work with you from there.
Can somebody who's 80 or older get a long-term care plan?
There are things for people of almost all ages. And now we're going to see some age maximums coming up here. So this one here, this was an asset-based hybrid plan for Mike. He had $250,000 in a Roth IRA that he wasn't going to be needing for his income. So that current asset, just like we saw in the CD, today it's worth $250,000. By age 85, invested at a 6% rate with no withdrawals, would grow to $849,000 and some change. So that's nice. The growth is taxable there. But this high net worth client who didn't need that $250,000 decided instead to repurpose it into a hybrid plan where that $250,000 immediately turned into a $1.4 million benefit, $1,300 a month that would last as long as 8 years, and age 85, $2.6 million, $24,000 a month for 8 years. So well, did he need this? Like if he was a high net worth client, why would he want to do this? Because of the tax play, because of the tax-free benefits of having money be able to come out on a tax-free basis. So in the bottom right there, we're seeing with 3% inflation rider, that's how the benefit grew. And if no long-term care benefit was used, uh, Mike had a death benefit there of $315,884. What did that cost him? He put in $250. So not a huge death benefit, but still getting more than his money back for his heirs uh, on a tax-free basis. Going to take a peek at an annuity with long-term care benefits, straight annuity, an existing annuity. Again, like existing life insurance and existing annuities. Some of these old annuities, they have riders on them that have outlived their being charged for them. They're not performing anymore. Those riders have expired. That a lot of annuity business is done to fund these plans. So annuities without long-term care benefits can be exchanged for annuities with tax-free benefits. So current plan, this is someone that had a $200,000 non-qualified annuity. Non-qualified means it's not in an IRA or 401k. So it's just money. So Sandra's 72. She exchanges or repurposes this plan into a new one, giving her an immediate benefit of $504,000, benefit of $8,400 for 5 years. At age 92, it's projected to have, or actually guaranteed to have, $602,000 for a monthly benefit of $10,000 for 5 years, all tax free. If no long-term care benefit is used, she has parked that $200,000 and it becomes a $214,000 tax-free benefit. Why are all these numbers different? Because all these people were different, their circumstances were different. We're talking about different products here. So everything is custom. There's nothing boilerplate that we do. Everything is based upon the person, their health history, pre-screening that anonymously first, and then coming up with some ideas to help them solve the problem. So just how easy can it be? Well, some of these annuity long-term care plans have only 4 questions. Do you currently use a mechanical device, wheelchair, walker, dialysis machine, oxygen, respirator, stair lift? Are you receiving help with bathing, dressing, already in need of long-term care? Those are the activities of daily living. So if you're not in need of assistance there, have you been diagnosed with Alzheimer's or had a licensed healthcare professional tell you that you have any of these illnesses here? And if you haven't tested positive for AIDS, HIV, this person that just says no to those questions, those are the only questions on a couple of these plans, can get a long-term care plan.
Carol.
Yes.
And some select products can issue up to age 85 and 87.
Yes, that as well. Right. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Yeah.
So we can go up to 85, 87 by exception. So it's not too bad. I guess the underwriters are already aware that we're going to be living to 120, 140, so they'll go up to age 87 for us. So then I want to show you something that is not new but newer in my show here. If you haven't, if you saw a presentation maybe a couple years ago, this wasn't here, but we're using these now. It's a short-term care plan, and I think these are really cool. A short-term or recovery care plan could have a 0-day waiting period. We can go 50 to 89, easy underwriting, and it might look something like this. This was Deb, age 63. She bought a recovery care plan that gave her nursing home, assisted living coverage, and home care. Her nursing home benefit, $12,000 a month for 51 weeks. Why is it not 52? I don't know. That's just how they built it. 51. 0 waiting period. Put a home care rider on there, which you can't buy the home care rider by itself. It has to be attached to the nursing home. $1,200 a week benefit for 52 weeks. There we got the 52 with a lifetime maximum of 2 years. And that would mean if you were receiving care, became well again, it resets itself. So you could overall, if you were sick 2 or 3 times or dependent in ADLs 2 or 3 times, you could receive as much as 2 years of benefit. With a 0-day waiting period, the nursing home piece was $152 a month. The home care rider was $60 a month for a premium of $212. Think about all the ways we might use this. We have a surgery. We've had some complications. We've been in an accident. We have a long-term, a long illness. They have a cardiac event, a stroke. This is being used by me as the core of some people's plans, where those other plans might have a 90-day waiting period. This one can pay out day one. So you can take a longer waiting period on your larger plan and bring that cost down by using this on the front end. So this is a very popular plan. We're seeing this used more and more. This was someone older. So this was Marino, age 74. What might that same plan look like? Here's the recovery care plan again. He has his choice of a 100-day waiting period or a 20-day waiting period, and he took the 20-day. So we'll go over to that. That's got the nursing home, the $12,000 a month. This is the maximum. You can have lesser benefits, and this premium could be half of this. But if you cut the benefits in half to $6,000 a month, for example. So, but he took the maximum, 12,000, 51 weeks. That piece was $404 a month. The home care rider, which could be half or less than that, 52 weeks. That was 137. That gave him the 2-year plan for $541. Easy underwriting, easy questions. Back over to the left, the 100-day waiting period, it brought the premium down to $409, but he didn't think it was worth it to wait that long. He wanted the 20-day waiting period. So that's the one he took. So when and why to use the short-term care, as I mentioned, it can be immediate with a 0-day waiting period. It can be added on to an existing plan, like any of those people that had that partial plan or something from the work site. Maybe you want to overlay it with this. So there are no rules that you can't have more than one, or that you can't repurpose an old one for a new one. And there's nobody that looks to see if you have too much. It's up to you. So it can be an add-on to existing plan. Underwriting advantages, it's a simple process. And so it's not just plan B, it could be the core plan where we build this first, put this down first, and then build your other plan around it. And again, available from 40 to 89. So there's something there for everyone. So, and then just, I want to mention this too, that it's not just about having the money and having a policy. All of these plans come with resources, advocacy, care coordinator services, concierge services. Yes, we want to use Elderwerks for finding the people in places, but let's say you're alone. There are care specialists within each of these companies. These are paragraphs from different products. Your care specialist can communicate on your behalf with the doctors and the care providers. Program designed to help you put your policy in action so that you can get the care you choose. Care coordinators with all of them. Contact the insured family members, assess needs and services, and develop a personalized plan. They can match you up with local facilities recommended by Elderwerks. Elderwerks doesn't get Elderwerks doesn't charge people, so they're not for profit, and they do benefit from us using their services. So please keep them in mind. But they can match you up with facilities and caregivers so that you can remain at home as long as possible. And then at the bottom, your benefits include care coordination services with all of these plans. No additional charge. This stuff is built in. I was going to say you can't buy this. Yes, you can. You can have these services free when you have a plan. Without a plan, we're on our own. And, so this is why the wealthy, this is why ultra wealthy still have long-term care plans, even though they could afford it. It's because of the tax advantages and because of the care coordinator services, because we all need this type of support. We can't do it alone. So how many ways are there to fund a plan here? Well, we've got our investments or CDs. We can exchange an old annuity. At age 59 and a half, there is $2,500 without a 10% penalty that we can take out of traditional retirement plans now. We can exchange an existing cash value life insurance policy. I'd say old annuities and old life insurance policies are one of the biggest sources of funding for the people that come to see me, because they like, oh, I didn't know I could use that. I just thought it was there for my family when I died. No, we could make it come alive with living benefits. We didn't talk about this in a slide, but it is possible to sell a policy for cash through a life settlement program and drum up some funds that way. Bottom left, IRA, 401k, 403b, 457 assets. You can reposition all or part of them. The police and fire guys didn't realize they could reposition part of their 457. And so they've been doing building long-term care plans with a piece of their 457 plan. Come out tax-free and continue to build tax-free. Maybe it's your RMDs. So many people don't need their required minimum distributions, and well, how about routing it into a long-term care plan and preserving assets for family and yourself, or work it into your budget and pay on a monthly basis. Some people don't have those lump sums, so you saw some very affordable premiums down to a couple $100s in my examples there. So it can be a pay-as-you-go monthly basis. Or maybe you've got a rainy day fund that you've been accumulating for this, and you see now some ideas like, wow, I should reposition that there. Or family gifting. But I mean, some families, we know that an inheritance is coming, and people sometimes talk about that ahead of time, and maybe grandparents or parents would reposition some funds early and gift, so that maybe the 50, 60-year-old can get a plan for themselves, where maybe it's been too late for them, yet they have wealth. So lots of ways to fund these plans. Quick industry update. In my opinion, there's well, not my opinion, it is everyone's opinion. There's never been more long-term care plans options out there. It's just, there's so many things, from traditional to short-term. You saw the recovery care, the annuity asset-based, bonus activity going on where you can pick up funds to pay taxes, even plans for those not in the best of health. So as of 2024, most states now have that long-term care partnership program. We've had ours since 2007. The exceptions are Alaska, Hawaii, Mississippi, Utah, and Washington, D.C. New long-term care premiums should be more rate stable than the past because they've repriced products based upon current actuarial assumptions. 41 states do have strict pricing and rate adjustment regulations in place for new policies, so companies cannot just adjust premiums without proof of the need for it. We have seen some uptick though after the pandemic, so I'm a little concerned about that. But many of those plans I showed you were all guaranteed premium, guaranteed benefit. Premiums will never change. The Society of Actuaries had estimated that the long-term care insurance price since 2014, policies issued since 2014, had only a 10% probability of needing a rate increase. And if an increase were needed, they estimate it would need to average only around 10%. So I'm hoping that stays true. So frequently asked questions, take a look at these and cover them, or we're at a little over the top of the hour here for Q&A. So with no bell ringing, what happens if I buy a policy and never need care? If it's a traditional long-term care policy, just like car insurance, homeowners insurance, medical insurance, you don't get your money back if it's a traditional long-term care policy. But you saw that on the front end, but you saw all kinds of other ones that did have equity and death benefit, tax-free monies for all kinds of circumstances. Can I receive care in another state if I should move? Absolutely. Are there tax advantages to paying for care with insurance versus depleting my retirement savings? I think we've covered that. But yes. Using insurance lets you pay a smaller amount, let the insurance company pick up the risk instead of depleting your retirement savings. Or we can use a piece of your retirement savings if that's all you have and reposition it so instead of it being taxable when it comes out, it's now tax-free. Do policies cover Alzheimer's if diagnosed down the road? Yes. Once you're approved for a plan, whatever happens, happens. There's no exclusions for cognitive disorders. Are policy renewals guaranteed? Yes, they are. Premiums are not necessarily guaranteed for traditional long-term care, but all those other ones, guaranteed. I don't like dealing with anything that doesn't have guarantees on it. Can I obtain a policy on myself and not my spouse? Yes, you can. Sometimes that happens out of desire. Sometimes that happens out of need. If we had an uninsurable spouse that's already in a nursing home and the other one wanted to get one. So you don't need to take your partner along, although there are discounts for having a spouse in the house, so to speak, and having a spouse that buys the plan when you're both when you both apply for a plan with that same company. What's the best age to set up a long-term care plan? God, I wish I knew. I don't have the crystal ball. For some people, they skate through underwriting at 70 or 75. It does cost them more. If I had my wish, I would wish that people age 50 would talk to me And they do sometimes. Most often though, it's age 64, people are coming in for their Medicare supplement education and help with enrollment. And now a lot more to talk about that plan with the preventive benefits rider. So that's when I try to catch them before the 65th birthday and get something set up at that point. But so many people have health issues at that age. It's crazy. And I spend a lot of time researching medical conditions and sharing things. You know, in 42 years, I'm not a doctor, but I've been taking applications and underwriting pre-screening business for 42 years. And so I'm able to help people share experiences and also find good providers. So question here. Good timing. Yes.
Why does somebody need to be pre-screened?
The pre-screening, when I use the word pre-screen, it's gathering the health history, height and weight, and then getting that out to the primary companies that we want to approach for consideration. So it's all done anonymously. So the not pre-screening can result in taking an application from someone and having them be declined. There was a broker in the community here that took an application and put through, just showed this couple one thing, one plan only, and the woman was declined. She's 56 years old. I meet her in the community. I'm like, what happened? She had gallbladder surgery pending. So the person didn't really know what they were doing. They were not a specialist. They didn't show them any choices. They showed them one thing and then put an application through with surgery pending. Surgery, she was being cut and put to sleep. So no insurance company wants to insure someone that has surgery pending. So I would have pre-screened that. I would have not needed to pre-screen because I would have known that we need to wait until you're released from the doctor and have your gallbladder removed. And then she would be able to get covered, which she did. So pre-screening is to get I'm looking for a green light so that what we apply for, I can get, that nobody gets declined on my watch. I'm very proud of that. I don't put in applications on people that I don't know their history. Now, if someone surprises me and, oh, gee, I had cancer 7 years ago and didn't tell you, and the underwriter that's revealed during gathering the medical records, then that's a different story. That doesn't happen too often, but the pre-screening is paving the way. It's doing the behind the scenes work so that people aren't disappointed, and I'm able to deliver what it is I'm quoting, and hopefully we get approval as we receive the good news from the underwriter, and then proceed with the plan. I hope I've answered that question adequately.
Is it bad to get denied?
Well, getting denied on life insurance is, or life insurance or long-term care, it's kind of like having a ding on your credit report. It takes effort to fix it. So I'd rather avoid it. In credit, it takes, you know, if you have a ding on your credit report, it takes a number of years getting good credit. With insurance getting declined, it takes a strategy. I kind of position myself as you think about when I put in a case, I'm kind of like a lawyer doing a closing argument, and you know, on behalf of a client, I'm doing a narrative. There's a letter that goes along with it that talks about my relationship and their how active they are in the community and physical activity and all that. And sometimes it's explaining. For example, this woman that was declined because of the gallbladder surgery. Did that take Mount Everest to get the underwriter to consider her on the second round? No, I just needed to explain that broker didn't know what they were doing, put in an application while she was pending surgery, and that particular company actually called it a decline. I would have called it a postponement myself, but the insurance company should have come back and said postpone. That ends up in what's called the Medical Information Bureau, the MIB, and it's not the details, but it shows as a hit. It shows a negative thing happened, and then it just gives reason that we have to explain and convince, which I'm really good at because I've been doing it for a long time. My underwriters know that I'm honest and thorough, and that I have gathered the proper information. We don't hide anything. We don't leave anything for surprise. So pre-screening is helpful and is not a death sentence. It needs to be fixed. It needs to be overridden with. Oh, and then I want to add this too. It is possible that one company might decline a person, but they might be acceptable to another company. So just getting a decline doesn't mean there isn't something out there for you. It just means that whoever you're working with maybe didn't have all the resources and it doesn't specialize in it. That's why I don't favor someone not specializing in long-term care dealing with these type of things. You wouldn't go to a cardiac surgeon or you wouldn't go to a foot surgeon to work on your heart. So go to a specialist for long-term care so that you don't have unexpected things happen and get the best outcome. That's what we're talking about, is getting the best outcome for you. I hope I've answered that. Any further questions? Do I have another slide here? Let's see. What's next? Okay, good to know. We covered that, right? Yeah,
Yes.
we did cover that.
Oh, we're going backwards.
Oh. Okay, there we go. Sorry about
They're
that.
close together.
Okay. I'll blame that on my eye. Now you can laugh at me. All right, we got that. So why should we plan for long-term care? Why should we do it now? Well, actor Denzel Washington said this, that it's better. He likes to be ready so he doesn't have to get ready. So there's Sophie again, they're reminding you. So it's just good to plan ahead and know what your options are. What's next? Well, as always, I do offer a complimentary 30-minute call to explore the strategies that might work for you and maybe do that pre-screening if you'd like me to. You have my phone number there.
And I sent a link for our contact form in the chat as well. You can text our office line or call and leave a message, and we will call you back tomorrow morning.
Right. I will add to this. I do have some travel the end of the month. It's going to be gone maybe 11 days. I have some clients in St. Augustine, and part of it's a pleasure trip, meeting up with my sister and her husband in Florida. So I've got 2 weeks before I'm going. So doesn't mean you can't get on the calendar. Doesn't mean we can't have our 30-minute call. I'm just sharing that with you because I'm sharing. Hopefully my eye's better. I guess I can wear sunglasses in Florida. I shouldn't worry about it. I will rest. So that consultation, that can be by phone, so that we can then get ready to then have a meeting. I have about 10 to 15 hours of work behind the scenes before I am ready to sit down at a table and show someone the results of my work. And that's gathering the information during that 30-minute call. It doesn't mean you have to give me your health history in that call. You can do whatever you want to talk to me about in that 30 minutes. Might be about another family member or something. But the plan would be to gather the health information, then anonymously get it out there to see what our options are. If you don't have a lot of health history, and then just to cover this real quick, if you've got high blood pressure or cholesterol or maybe a little bit overweight, nobody cares about that. Those are not issues. Issues are more serious things. Those are the kind of things that need to be pre-screened. If you had high blood pressure and you were taking 3 medications and had some complications, that's another matter. But there is pretty much something for everyone. And those minor, allergies, asthma, surgery a couple of years ago, even if you've had a neck or back surgery and you're fully recovered, those things are not an issue. Even certain cancers and with a period of time of recovery. So don't assume you're not acceptable or insurable. Check with me, and everything is done anonymously with the insurance company stuff. So I don't want them to know anything ahead of time. I want them to see the good stuff when the application gets there. So that's what we do. So I thank you for your interest, and if you've been thinking about this for a long time and procrastinating, don't get older. don't have a birthday, and try to look into this before your health leaves you. Our health is everything. So I'm going to try to maintain that with some of the ideas I have there, and I hope this has been inspirational for you on the staying well, being around for your loved ones, a little bit of education on the incredible technologies out there, and that you'll feel free to reach out for complimentary conversation. Be happy to chat with you. And thank you, Elderwerks, for hosting this show and for all that you do for us in the community.